wanna see good news. You don't see on regular TV. From another perspective, something relative to your needs. And we gonna have deep subjects, and we gonna turn the lens. And there's no topic we won't skip. So please don't miss weekly. Tune in to weekly to check in. Weekly check in. Weekly check in. Weekly check in. Tune in to weekly. Tune in. Check in. Weekly check in.
Maybe one of the few times I would say this, Dave Chappelle was right. Why is Dave Chappelle right? You remember in his SNL dialogue when he said that the pandemic had actually, we didn't have to see mass shootings anymore by crazy white males? Well,
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle was right, because as soon as the governors and local municipalities allow for people to go out in these streets, now we see, I think it's, what is it, like over 30 now shootings that have occurred in these last several months. So I want to talk about the rise of the shootings on one hand, and then on the other hand, the shootings that are often overlooked in this discussion.
So Dave Chappelle was right. He was very prophetic in what he said. Literally like the day after they said we're going to slowly start opening back up, the first mass shooting happened the day after, and it has not stopped since. So I don't know if they can do some kind of study to figure that out, because I think they need to, and also to your point about the shootings that are underreported, are, like you said, the gang shootings in Chicago, LA, the gang shootings are underreported because those didn't stop during the pandemic. As a matter of fact, I know in my old neighborhood, like in the hundreds, the streets got hot.
Oh, that's the thing in LA. People are telling, my brother told my sisters who have sons, keep your boys off of the streets. They are popping these young black males left and right.
But I don't know if y'all saw, there was a video where it's supposed to look like a drive-by, but it was a white boy on 83rd in Hoover shooting at some folks in a Charger that looked like they got a Charger out of impound or something, and came through the neighborhood shooting. And when they zoom in, it was a white man, older white man.
Oh, this sounds like after the gang truce, after the
absolutely. So I think we have some more of that going on. Like if anybody ever haven't seen the documentary Bastard to the Party, go ahead and watch that documentary, because it talks about how police were taking known gang members' cars, putting them in impound, and then when the truce happened, police were taking those known gang members' cars that people would know on the streets and going and doing drive-bys in those cars. So then other gangs would be like, oh, that's big such and such car, not knowing that his car had been in impound and he was in jail when that drive-by happened, to try to kill the peace that was on the streets. So I think we have a little bit more of that coming, because the streets has started dying down. Black Lives Matter. People started trying to come together. I know a few pastors, shout out to Shep Crawford, who have been going into a bunch of neighborhoods talking to gang leaders, trying to get peace going and all that. And then the youngsters start getting stuff popping and getting stuff sprawled up. And to your point about what your brother said, we were literally telling everybody, all my young cousins, like, yo, stay in the house or go to Lancaster or something. You know what I mean? Like, go somewhere else. Just don't be out here in these streets, because it's getting crazy. And that has not been reported. And one of my theories about why it hasn't been reported so heavily, because that doesn't help the gun control narrative. Reporting about black people getting killed is not going to help them want to take away guns. Reporting about white people getting killed is going to help them want to take away guns.
Dane, see, this is why folks need to stop thinking that you need to go get 12 degrees to figure stuff out, because that's exactly what it is, right? And and I know that because of folks that I have, friends that I have at the top, right? Where they are literally paying to get news stories pulled about Black violence so they can try to get something on this, so they can try to get this gun bill, right? They have a gun bill that's in the house that they're trying to get through and trying to push some stuff through. And I'm telling you right now, Dane, that they are literally calling in the news stations to to pull stories, right? And offering, you know, and you know, you're in this industry, right? So and so they're not quote unquote paying, but they'll say, you know, we'll give you this special on this if you pull this, or that's exactly what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, that's exactly what's happening, because I'll never forget. I tell this story often, but I'll never forget after the Sandy Hook shooting. I was pregnant with my son and I was devastated because I said, if they can't get background checks for little white kids, then for and we're not talking about Columbine, we're not talking about high school, we're not talking about we're talking about elementary school children. If they can't get common sense background, background for after they kill little white kids, my son has no chance. And so that's what the industry understands, and what they don't want to do, right, Dave? The other piece that people are not talking about, they don't want to reinvigorate the NRA, because the NRA right now has had to file bankruptcy to get in smaller pieces. They're moving to Texas. They're moving out of Virginia. Right. I used to pass them on the way when I would leave DC. I would pass them on the way home. So if we give Fox News, if we give those type of Breitbart, if we give those type of news outlets any level of fodder, they're going to run it into the ground. We're going to reinvigorate the NRA. We're going to make it so the political folks that are leaning towards it, who can actually vote for it and not have to then be, you know, kicked out of their seat because of it. We're going to re-entrench them if we do not keep this type of news out of the news cycle. So Dave, that your theory is not a theory, it is the truth. That's exactly what's happening.
Good points made by everybody. I also want to add, in terms of the media narrative, where is the trade your guns for loaves of bread programs in these white communities that were happening all through these urban areas of,
exactly.
You $25 every gun that you turn in order to clean up your community, right? Where is that, right? And also another thing I think is very interesting is that how these rising Black paramilitary, military groups are being, how they're being represented in these conversations as being the monsters, right? But these white military groups are like patriots who really want a fair country. This is a really kind of interesting how things are being narrated, right? And then this goes in terms of the shootings and how shootings, like how I have to, you know, we've talked about this over and over again, but how mass shooters are often the one in Atlanta was connected to somebody who was having a bad day. And and then in Chicago, you know, it are these thugs, like these things that cycle over and over in our head, and they're not properly challenged by mainstream media. So this gun conversation, and I have to say this, my parents are from the South, and I do agree with what is her name? We were born on the same day, the journalist. Ooh, what is her name? Ida B. Wells Barnett said, you know, if whites knew that Blacks had a Winchester rifle, every Black household sitting at their doorstep, things would change.